Despite Steven Spielberg being one of the most famous directors of all time, I have seen very little of his films. In fact, before 2025, which is kind of when I started to really dive into his filmography, I had seen only 3 of his movies, all of which I had seen as a kid and remembered very little of. Those being Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, The Last Crusade, and the BFG, which I saw in middle school because we read the book it was based on in class. Anyway, this is kind of weird to me considering Spielberg has directed some of the highest grossing films ever made, but I guess my kid self just wasn't interested in sharks or raisin aliens or the 16th President of the United States. Though, like I said, I've somewhat started to make up for my previous lack of interest in his work in 2025. Since January, I've seen Temple of Doom and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull for the first time, as well as rewatching Raiders and Crusade, and I saw Dial of Destiny, but who cares, Spielberg didn't direct it. I also saw Minority Report, War of the Worlds, and The Adventures of Tintin, and I have not rewatched the BFG, so please don't ask. But I have great interest in seeing films like Saving Private Ryan, The Fabelmans, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Schindler's List, The Post, etc. But there is a film I saw very recently that completely blew me away.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
I don't want to spoil too much of my thoughts because I'll review the film more in depth in a bit, but I love the first Jurassic Park film. It completely won me over, and I was just in awe the entire time I watched it. It was genuinely magical. And also, I've heard literally nothing good about its 5 sequels, and with a 6th sequel that just released, the series is more in the public eye than before. I might as well watch the entire franchise and finally get my thoughts on films so famous, I probably have absolutely nothing original to say about them. Also, heads up, I will be very general in my review of Rebirth, so don't worry about spoilers, and if you want to stay completely blind, then just skip this section. Spoiler alert, but this is obviously the most positive I'm going to be across the entire video. But holy shit, Jurassic Park the First is so good. It just boggles my mind. Like, how do you make an action film so intense, so genuinely scary, and still have the characters be really funny? The film knows perfectly when to be silly and when to be nerve-wracking, and sometimes it does both at the same time. There's a scene later in the movie where 2 raptors are basically hunting the 2 kids in the movie in a kitchen, and the tension is so immense, it's suffocating. When the raptors open the door, because like the film says, they're incredibly smart, my heart just sinks to my chest because these kids are going to have to be perfect to get out of this alive, and they drag it out, and every moment I'm on the edge of my seat. And then the girl tries to hide in the cubby, but she can't close the door because it's stuck, and the raptor charges at her, and I lost my mind. And when it's revealed that the raptor was actually charging at the girl's reflection, it's not only funny because of the way the raptor just goes crashing into a wall, but it basically cuts the tension completely, making me super relieved, but not relieved enough to still not take the scene seriously, because if it hadn't been a reflection, the girl would be dead. The humor and silliness adds to the scene here and enhances it, which is very hard to pull off. And the film does this so well across the entire runtime. Like the T-Rex ripping apart the bathroom and the guy is just on the toilet. It's very fun, but also kind of terrifying. If it was anything other than a bathroom and was presented in a different way, it could be a good dramatic scene. Because in essence, the guy just had what he thought was a safe space completely demolished, and now he's completely exposed. Just out in the open against this giant predator you can't do anything against. The characters are so endearing. Ellie Grant and Ellie Sattler are humanized so well, and I just got very caught up in their story. I love Alan's arc about coming to accept and protect the kids he's gotten stuck with. It's cheesy, yeah, but it's so lovingly portrayed I can't help but smile when he's hugging them at the plane at the end. And Ellie is an extremely strong character. She's a very competent female lead for an early 90s action movie, and it was very nice to see. The kids are a little dumb, but they're kids, and I think think the two actors do an honestly great job. You could maybe say their inclusion is a bit cheap, like, how do we get the audience to care about our characters being in danger? Make them kids, but I think that's a bit disingenuous. Them being children ties into the film's themes after all, specifically with Alan, like I said, and they don't just take the easy way out with portraying their scenes. The previously mentioned scene in the kitchen with the raptors is beautifully done, and honestly, this might be Jeff Goldblum's best movie ever. The only one I can think of that might top it is the 1986 Fly movie. I'd say from a dramatic angle, sure, The Fly is better, but just overall, yeah, I think Jurassic Park is his best work. Ian Malcolm is just so cool in this movie, and I don't even really know what else to say. He's incredibly funny, can be dramatic when he needs to be, and he's kind of the initial catalyst for the audience's growing doubts for this theme park. At the dinner, he makes genuinely good points, and when things inevitably start to go wrong, it's hard not to think back to his previous scenes of hostility. And oh my god, the T-Rex scene? It's one of the most famous parts of this film, and it is just so spectacular. It's so long, but it's so tense the entire time. When the car flips over and the kid is still underneath it, god, I started losing it. And when the scene cuts away and he's still under the car, I was just like, is he okay? And after that scene, we get the scene where the car is stuck in the tree, and I just knew it was going to fall, and got the dread I felt when the branches started snapping. Like, how is this just as tense as the one with the killer dinosaurs? I think my only issue with the T-Rex scene is, like, why did the kid shine lights at the dinosaur? Like, what were they trying to accomplish there? But other than that, it's flawless. I guess I don't think the film is perfect, but most of my complaints are very minimal. Like, yeah, the CG isn't perfect like with the first dinosaurs we see, but it was in 1993. I mean, this was a pre-Toy Story world, so it was very new. And even then, I think the vast majority of it is very impressive. Like, the Triceratops, that looks amazing. Even nowadays, I'm kind of blown away. It looks better than CGI in a lot of modern films. Though a lot of subpar CGI we see nowadays is the result of horrible working conditions and massive amounts of crunch time forced onto the employees of VHX studios by companies like Disney and Warner Bros. Discovery, one of the many examples which shows capitalism has an overwhelmingly negative impact on art and creativity. Anyway, there are some scenes I don't really like, to be honest. I think Wayne Knight's character is enjoyable enough and a good reason for everything going wrong, but I do kind of think it would have been more effective if the system crashed because of some cost-cutting measure, which would go well with the film's theme that a capitalist society will always value profit and revenue over the loss of human life. But it's alright as it is, and I kind of have a similar sentiment to the later scenes with him trying to escape the island. They're fun, but they do go on for a little long, but I do really like how the things he stole are just completely lost. He ruined everything, and it led to the deaths of multiple people, and at the end of the day, it was all for literally nothing. I also don't really know what the scene with the running dinosaurs was meant to accomplish. Not only is the CGI the most rough it is across the entire film, but I just don't really get what they were going for with it. It's kind of a worse version of the Brachiosaurus scene, which is just there to have a bonding moment between Alan and the kids, and maybe humanize the dinosaurs a little bit. Maybe it was just included to have their return trip feel more eventful. I don't know. And I think my last and most major issue with the film is, weirdly enough, the ending. Like, one moment they're surrounded by raptors, and then the next the T-Rex eats one, then they're in their car, and then they're in the helicopter and on their way home. It's very abrupt and feels kind of unsatisfying. Like, narratively speaking, it's a fine ending, but pacing-wise, I don't really like it. The tension is like super high one moment, and then the next everything's fine, don't worry about it. I don't know, it's kind of small for it to be my biggest issue with the film, but that just kind of speaks to Jurassic Park's level of quality. It's not a perfect film. I did spend a good chunk of time at the end there complaining, but still, Jurassic Park is a goddamn masterpiece. Absolutely phenomenal. I would recommend it to pretty much anyone, and I'm kind of sad I went so long without watching it myself. 9 out of 10. Very close to a 10 out of 10, but I think it's just shy of that score. So yeah, Jurassic Park the First is peak fiction. I wish I could say the same about literally any of the other movies I'll talk about in this video. Lost World Jurassic Park is very weird to talk about because even though it has the same director, 2 of the same producers, the same 2 writers, 2 of the same casting people, the same editor, and many of the same actors as the first film, and it only releasing 4 years after Jurassic Park 1, it is a terrible movie. I hate The Lost World Jurassic Park with a burning passion. It either doesn't include or straight up spits in the face of everything I loved about Jurassic Park. The tension has almost completely evaporated. There is one scene I thought had a decent amount of stakes, and that's when the truck is hanging over the cliff and Ian's girlfriend falls on this glass in the back and it starts cracking and stuff. It's decently well done, I guess, but then the scene goes on and I just groan because the characters start quipping. Oh my god, I know my life is in danger, but I'm gonna tell the only person who can save my life to give me an apple turnover. Fuck off. Like I said previously, the first film did potential tension ruining humor really well, because it didn't ruin the tension. In fact, in many instances, the silliness adds to the terror, which is so cool. In the sequel, let's just throw quips around so much it makes an MCU movie blush, and when the film isn't completely destroying its dramatic potential, it acts so smug about it. The characters bring a baby dinosaur into their facility to heal its broken leg, and immediately you're like, oh, the parents are gonna come and attack them to get its baby back. Obviously. And then they do, and you're like, yeah, of course, you guys are the absolute dumbasses. But then Sarah comes around and screams at the audience, I mean the other characters, oh my god, guys, it's not here to eat us, it wants its baby. Like, yeah, I don't know why you expect your viewers to be as stupid as the characters in the film. And the thing is, the scene could have worked. If they actually trusted the audience, they could have made the moment tense as all hell, because the film knows that you know all hell is about to break loose. I don't think it would have been perfect, because it still would have made the characters look stupid, but it could have been at least effective. But no, the film makes the most obvious thing in the world this massive reveal. It's like if in the first movie, when their cars break down in front of the T-Rex enclosure, Ian Malcolm was like, guys, we're gonna be safe, these cars are basically bulletproof, and then the other characters keep talking about how safe they are, and when the T-Rex shows up, Alan goes, holy shit, is that a Tyrannosaurus Rex? I spent a long time on that scene because it's just emblematic of the entire film's quality. It's our stupid characters getting into the most obviously dangerous things ever, and then they don't even have tension to make up for it. In Jurassic Park 1, when the kids are trapped in a room with raptors, they have to go through hell and back to get out alive, taking the smartest and least risky options the entire time, and even when they do, things still go wrong. Hiding in the steel cubby sounds like a good idea, but the door gets jammed, then the only reason you survive is because dinosaurs haven't encountered reflective metals before. In Lost World, the main character, his girlfriend, and daughter are surrounded by 3 raptors in what's basically an open area and survive by increasingly illogical choices. In Jurassic Park 1, raptors are smart enough to open doors. In Lost World, they immediately lose interest in their prey because it threw a stick away from them like they're dogs. Jurassic Park 1 shows Wayne Knight doing the same, and in that, it's played as a joke, because that's a stupid way to react to a dinosaur in front of you. What do you do if a raptor is right in front of your mom and about to eat her? You spin around on a pole for 10 seconds and kick that dinosaur out a window, it'll never see it coming. If you're hanging on a ledge of a building with 2 raptors below you that'll immediately eat you if you fall, with a raptor right above that obviously wants a meal, just follow DSG. D. Don't do anything. Raptors famously do not like eating prey that is hanging on a ledge, it ruins their appetite. S. Slippery. If a roof is just a little slippery, a raptor will just fall off, which conveniently means you are not cornered anymore. G. Go away. I think I've made it clear what my general opinion on the film is as a whole, but I haven't even gotten into my biggest issue, the characters. Sure, I've mentioned how dumb they are enough to fill a high school essay, but actual big issues. I don't know why everyone keeps talking about Ian Malcolm returning as the main character, because no, he didn't. Sure, the main guy is played by Jeff Goldblum, he kinda looks like Ian, and to be fair, his name is Ian Malcolm, so I guess I get why the confusion exists, but no, this is a completely different guy. You can't fool me, movie, because Ian in Jurassic Park 1 is funny, charming, endearing, is really smart. This Ian is dumb as hell, very unfunny, and couldn't be less charming if he tried. Okay, being serious now, I think Ian in Lost World is an amazing example on why some characters not having grand backstories is a good thing, because I liked him so much better when I knew less about him. I could imagine his epic past adventures that got him picked to judge Jurassic Park. I don't think it's a horrible idea to flesh him out, but when one of his main appeals in his first appearance is his mysteriousness, you have to be really careful and do a good job to give him a fulfilling story. And Lost World obviously didn't do that. Remember our strong female lead with Ellie in Jurassic Park 1? Well, in Lost World we now have Sarah, who's annoying as hell, and only character traits revolve around her relationship with Ian. And they are horrible for each other. They constantly fight and disagree about everything. Now, the film could have made that interesting by making them come to actually love each other, kind of like Alan learning to love the kids in Jurassic Park 1, but no, they just completely forget about that plot point, and they're just a happy family at the end, even though they had no character development to get anywhere near that point across the film. Now, someone who really likes this movie could criticize my video by saying, basically all my negative points are just, this is worse than the first film, and I'm not judging the movie by its own merits, and honestly, yeah, that's kind of a good point. I am kind of just upset that Lost World just does everything worse than its predecessor. But I personally think that that's fine because it's a sequel. Of course it should be compared to what came before. Though if you don't personally think that, fair enough. Tell me why you actually like the film in the comments. I'd love to hear it. I think the finale is alright. Seeing a T-Rex destroy San Diego is at least fun to watch. And I honestly don't really agree with the complaint, why did they bring a dinosaur to San Diego? Well, obviously it's gonna get loose. Like, yeah, it's stupid, but I think it kind of works as a critique on capitalism, and how, again, companies will always value profit over human life. It's way less effective than the first movie's commentary because it's so much less subtle, but honestly, I'll take anything at this point. What I do think is stupid about the finale is how the T-Rex escapes. It should be the simplest thing in the world, it just broke through the cage or something. But no, when the boats carrying the dinosaur arrives at the city, the entire crew is dead. There weren't any other dinosaurs on board besides the T-Rex, and I think if it broke free on the water, it would have at least broken a bit of the boat. I think the film says a gas leak happened or something, which is not only stupid and really convenient, but makes no sense because the crew is like ripped apart like a dinosaur ate them. Did a raptor stow away, eat them, and then jump off into the water so it wouldn't get caught? Was it a ghost dinosaur? Did one of the people on board decide to rip apart the crew before again jumping into the water to not get caught? I don't know. Was there a deleted scene here? Probably. Lost World Jurassic Park is a horrible movie. Don't watch it, you will regret it. Almost none of the good qualities from the first one remain, and it's just upsetting. And honestly, I could have complained way longer. I just didn't really want to. Like, there's a scene where a bunch of military guys decide to camp in the middle of a dinosaur-infested forest on the ground floor instead of climbing the trees, which was established earlier in the movie would stop the dinos from noticing you, and oh my god, they got caught by a T-Rex and a lot of them get eaten. Wow, I can't believe it. You know guys, I've heard wearing raw meat around your neck and torso really ruins a dinosaur's appetite. They wouldn't eat you if you do that. 3 out of 10, and I think I'm being more than generous with that score. Jurassic Park 3 isn't as bad as Lost World, but it's still pretty damn bad. But I'll go over the positive because there's actually a decent amount to talk about, unlike with Lost World where the entirety of my positives are relegated to the T-Rex wrecking up San Diego at the end. But speaking of Lost World, I do really like how Jurassic Park 3 doesn't forget its predecessor happened. Going in, I was kind of expecting it to be an Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade situation, where they basically remove everything from the controversial second entry and go back back to basics. But no, 3 is basically the Lost World Jurassic Park II. It has far more in common with that film than the original. I mean, both take place on the same exact island and everything. I mean, as someone who hates Lost World with a burning passion, it being so similar is kind of a negative, but I do like the continuity at play here, and I actually do quite like the first 15 minutes. Seeing Alan's life after the first film is nice, especially after Lost World did nothing of the sort. The motivation for Alan coming back is decent. I mean, he went to Jurassic Park 1 in the first film just for money to help keep his operation alive, and it's the same here, so it's pretty in character, and he's basically kidnapped into going because the people taking him said they wanted him to do an aerial tour, but their plane crashes, so yeah. And the talking dinosaur saying Alan on the plane is the greatest scene I've ever seen in any movie ever. Of course I knew about it beforehand, but I was not expecting that voice.
Alan.
I was pretty sure it'd be gravelly and serious, but the raptor sounds like a mild-mannered man chiding his son Alan after he spills his milk on the dinner table. It's the funniest shit I've ever seen. It is a dream sequence though, and I do wish the raptors talked across the rest of the movie. They kind of have their own language to talk to each other, but with how funny the Alan scene is, I would have liked to see more, though maybe even the filmmakers realized it'd be dumb. Really, the only thing I don't like about the intro is that they turned Ellie into a housewife. She was such a fun and strong character in Jurassic Park 1, but because she's a girl, let's give her kids and a house, and have her do basically nothing across the film. Fun. So yeah, I was kind of liking Jurassic Park 3, at least a little bit, but then the plane crashes into the island and everything goes down the drain, because this is some of the worst action I've ever seen. A dinosaur eats someone, but it's so weightless and has no impact at all, and for the people who died at the start, it's a pretty big stretch to even call them characters. With the side characters in Jurassic Park 1, like Muldoon or Samuel L. Jackson, they're far from deep, but they have personalities and are well acted, which makes me feel sad when they're picked off. In 3, these side characters mean nothing. They're literally just dinosaur bait, which they use in an attempt to raise stakes, which they gloriously fail at. I thought Lost World was horrible at creating tension, but I hadn't seen Jurassic Park 3 yet. Outside of one instance I'll mention later, these dinosaurs just do nothing threatening. The main characters outrun a T-Rex and a Spinosaurus multiple times on foot. These dinosaurs just suck at killing people, and it's shown off best with the raptors. The chronological nerfing of the raptors in the Jurassic Park trilogy needs to be studied. In the first film, they're terrifying. Their mere presence adds to the tension tenfold. Them getting loose is one of the scariest moments of the film, and for the characters to survive them, they have to be constantly on their A game, make the best decisions possible, and even then, multiple people still die, and the ones who didn't got pretty damn close. In Lost World, they're basically movie monsters that could potentially be scary, but aren't in really any way. In 3, they are now mindless dogs who can't kill anyone in a group of 5 people and get immobilized because they are caught in a gate, and can only kill anyone when there's 5 of them chasing down 5 humans on foot in a completely open environment, and even then only one of them ever feels their fangs. This movie screams at you that raptors are super smart. They create a raptor language just to show their intelligence, but it's never shown in the film because these things are dumb as rocks. The only thing they do that's vaguely intelligent is use a guy as bait in order to draw out the other characters. That's their best scene in the film, and even then the trap doesn't even work. And then every time they're shown after, they have the critical thinking of dish soap. And the whole egg thing is so stupid. The raptors want to kill the characters because one of them stole their eggs, and at the end, when they give them back, the raptors just leave. I don't think the multiple people who died because of the raptors in Jurassic Park 1 stole any eggs. I don't think anyone who almost but not really died to raptors in Lost World stole any eggs. It's almost like humanizing these dinosaurs is kind of a stupid idea, but whatever. As much as I don't like Lost World, I I definitely miss Spielberg's directing. There's so much shaky cam and quick cuts, it gets so nauseating. Lost World has no tension, sure, and I think it could have been directed better, but a lot of the shots actually look good. In 3, that's no longer the case, and it's so disappointing. Who even directed Jurassic Park 3? Joe Johnston? Hey, that's the guy who directed Captain America the First Avenger, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the original Jumanji, The Rocketeer, which is criminally underrated. This guy can direct good movies, what the hell happened here? Though, I guess Spielberg can direct good movies, and he made Lost World, and admittedly, Johnson later directed films like Nutcracker, Four Realms, and Wolfman 2010, so yeah. He also directed the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles? How is Spielberg not the only person to have directed films in both of these franchises? What the hell? Anyway, that was a tangent. Speaking of how the film looks, the CGI is so bad. It had some iffy moments in the first film, but most of it held up really well. And one of the few elements Lost World improved on from the first film is the CGI, because it's pretty much flawless in that movie. In 3, it's not horrible, but it's far from good, and there's so many close-up on these ugly dinosaurs, it's disappointing. If I had to describe the quality of the CG, it'd be like on the same level as Attack of the Clones' Droid Factory. I just don't understand why 2 films released 4 in 8 years before 3 look better than it. But don't get me wrong, the film's writing is also bad, and don't even get me started on the stupid kid. Basically, the Kirbys tricked Alan into going to the island because their kid got stuck there while parachuting. They go there 8 weeks after the kid goes missing. A 10-year-old child survived for 8 weeks on a dinosaur-infested island all on his own. How epic. And then after he's reunited with his parents like halfway through the film, he does nothing else. I genuinely cannot remember a single thing he does after. The film just forgets he exists. Well, except for one moment, but I'm building up to it. Calm down. Also, the kid has a bottle of T-Rex piss, and when Alan asks how he got it...
You don't want to know.
But no, like... I do? Because what the fuck? Did you go up to a T-Rex that was pissing and hold the bottle under it to collect it? Did you extract it from the dirt after the T-Rex pissed? Was it a trade deal? Did you give the T-Rex some precious metals and food for the piss? And that doesn't even go into why do you need it? Does it taste good? Is it used as a conductive, as bait? Who knows? I've spent way too long talking about dinosaur piss, but this is what Jurassic Park 3 does to your psyche.
Hello? Hello? Is this working? I think it's working. Wow. You know, no one really mentions how easy YouTube videos are to hack into. Anyways, I'm Super Putty, and I'm here to explain how or where Eric Kirby got the T-Rex piss. If it's even T-Rex piss at all. So if you search the actor for Eric Kirby, you'll see he's played by Trevor Morgan. Scroll through his IMDb page, and you'll find he was also in The Sixth Sense. And Barney's Great Adventure. In that movie, Barney's first appearance is in a bathroom, meaning he was probably pissing in there. Trevor probably put the piss in a bottle to show his friends because, hey, dino piss is cool, and when would he ever get that opportunity again? So there's your answer. Eric Kirby stole Barney's piss, meaning that isn't T-Rex piss, it's Barney piss. But hey, that's just a theory. A piss theory! And back to you, Nutty.
So I had basically completely written this film off, but then, like 50 minutes in, something happened that I genuinely liked. My favorite scene in the film is the one with the pterodactyls. I mean, their inclusion is pretty nice in general since they were a pretty obvious inclusion that weren't in the previous 2 films. 3 actually does do a decent job bringing on new dinosaur species. But anyway, the pterodactyl scene is like actually tense. The action is the best it is across the entire movie. These dinosaurs feel like an actual threat, and the characters have to actually try to escape them. And it's silly at moments too, like when this crate falls onto the pterodactyl in the water. It's nowhere close to the quality of Jurassic Park 1, but it's still good. And then there's a death that actually feels impactful, because Billy is killed by the pterodactyls, and like, I was genuinely sad. I knew who Billy was because the film actually characterized him, and this happened right after Billy and Alan got into a fight, and like, damn Jurassic Park 3, you actually cooked here. And right after, Alan and the kid just talk, and Alan brings up how much he regrets his last words to Billy, and he didn't mean them, and like, damn, this is good. It's mature, it feels like the film is actually trying now, and then the next scene is also alright. The action goes back to being bad, but I do like how it keeps cutting between Ellie just having a normal day, trying to talk to Alan on her phone, and Alan going through hell and back, literally stuck in a cage with a massive Spinosaurus on the outside. Okay, well, it wasn't the next scene after Alan and the kid talk, because between the two, there's like a 2-minute scene where the characters start digging through dinosaur shit to find a phone that's still somehow working after being eaten, which kind of felt like a slap to the face after I actually started getting invested, but whatever. But yeah, I actually really liked something here. Is Jurassic Park 3 finally starting to find its footing, and I can actually say it's a decent movie with a pretty rocky middle? Can I actually see something positive in this film? The ending of Jurassic Park 3 is the worst shit I've ever seen. The military shows up to save them, and they don't even do anything. There literally could have just been a singular rescue helicopter, and nothing would have changed. Why include the military in a Jurassic Park film if they're not going to fight dinosaurs? But whatever. It's not a huge deal. It's a nitpick if anything. They go on the helicopter and... Oh no. Fuck off, movie. Are you fucking kidding me? Billy survived? What are we doing? How did he even survive? He was going down a river with 3 dinosaurs who want to eat him, and he got off with minimal injuries, and after he's revealed to be alive, he says one line. You went back on the best scene in the movie just for that? Fuck you, Jurassic Park 3. And that's Jurassic Park 3. It's pretty bad, but like I said, I do prefer it to Lost World, even if only slightly, but the ending pissed me the fuck off. I was ready to give the film like a high 4 out of 10, not good at all, but not terrible. But no, that ending ruined a lot of the film for me. Jurassic Park 3 out of 10. And that's the last of the original trilogy. Now it's the World films, which don't even attempt to be thrillers and just go full-on action movie mediocrity. And that's fine, I guess. This is going to be hard to talk about. Jurassic World is a movie that sure does exist. It's competently made, it's decently well shot, the actors do fine, the writing could be worse, but it's like, I do not care about this movie. I've never had so little to say about a feature film before. Despite having my full attention on it from basically start to finish, it all just washed over and formed this gray sludge in my brain that I guess technically counts as a film. The only times I really perked up during the movie were like the scene where Chris Pratt is in the cage with the raptors, but only really because it's very funny. It's not Alan Dinosaur funny, but it's a strong contender for the second funniest raptor related scene in a film with the word Jurassic in its title, I think. Really, the only parts I liked unironically were when the kids were trapped in this, like, hamster ball against the indomitable Rex. It was honestly pretty tense in a way I haven't seen since Jurassic Park 1, though the kids were able to outrun it on foot immediately after, which kind of ruined the dramatic weight, and someone outruns a dinosaur again in the finale. Why is this so common? The indomitable Rex is kinda cool. It existing in the first place does continue the series' message on how corporations will always value profit over human life, and it has some cool powers like camouflage. I also did like the scene where the lady gets killed by the pterodactyls and the mosasaurus in the most brutal way imaginable. It's genuinely really funny. And yeah, that's kind of it in terms of stuff I liked. Everything else is just fine. It's a ridiculously generic action movie through and through with MCU humor. Despite the film cracking jokes a lot, the only times I really laughed is when the lady died comically brutally, the raptor scene with Chris Pratt, and when Chris Pratt called himself an alpha with this insane dramatic pan upwards. And yeah, I've kind of run out of things to say. The film is so bloated with subplots, and most don't matter. I really don't understand what the military wanting raptors as soldiers plot point was going for. The characters are fine, but I really didn't get invested into them at all, and I never felt any chemistry between Chris Pratt and Claire. Look, I can lie to you and go in depth with the film and try really hard to blow up the section of the video just to make it longer, or I can be honest and say I don't give a fuck about Jurassic World. If you want to hear an in-depth review, then go somewhere else, because I'm not willing to force myself to talk about something I don't really want to talk about. As a movie, it's fine. I can understand why people might like the film. There's really nothing wrong with it. If you want dumb fun and nothing more, then this is the film for you. It just isn't the film for me, though. Though, admittedly, I did clap when Mr. DNA appeared on screen. 5 out of 10. The fact that this is the second best movie in the franchise pains me to my very core. They really should have called it The Fallen Kingdom Jurassic World, as a neat little reference to the Lost World Jurassic Park, and it'd be an appropriate title considering Fallen Kingdom is very similar in quality to Lost World. Okay, that's not completely fair, because Fallen Kingdom is actually far worse than Lost World, but on the bright side, because it's so bad, I'll have stuff to talk about. Okay, like with Jurassic Park 3, let's go over the things I actually do like first, because it'll be a very short section. The only time I felt really any joy was when Jeff Goldblum was on screen. Honestly, his 2 cameos were pretty solid, and I think he was better characterized in this film than he was in Lost World. I did actually enjoy Justin Smith and Danielle Pineda in this film. Their characters were enjoyable, and Pineda's line delivery on some jokes was one of the few things I found genuinely charming. The scene where they extract the blood from the T-Rex was alright. It was decently tense, and the characters actually interact with a dinosaur in a somewhat interesting way. I guess the scene where the Brachiosaurus died was kind of sad. It feels very emotionally manipulative, though. And the callback to the hamster balls in the first movie was okay. But then Chris Pratt fails to get in one for multiple seconds, and then it closes, and he somehow keeps up with it on foot and successfully outruns multiple dinosaurs in a fucking volcanic eruption. Holy shit, this movie is so bad. I hate it so much. I thought the characters were boring in Jurassic World, but in Fallen Kingdom, they have absolutely nothing going for them. I love how the main couple breaks up off screen just so that they can kiss and get back together at the end of the sequel. It's my favorite thing ever. Claire and Chris Pratt had very little chemistry in Jurassic World, but now they have even less of it, which is like, alright. And I'll give Jurassic World this. At least most of its characters had like arcs. They actually grew as people. Chris Pratt learns to be more open with people. Claire learns to be more compassionate to the dinosaurs and her nieces. They're very uninteresting arcs, but at least they exist. In Fallen Kingdom, everyone is the exact same person they were when the movie started than when it ended. Even Justin Smith and Danielle Pineda's characters didn't grow. I just liked them because they were fun to watch. Every person in this is stupid. Except again, Danielle Pineda's character, she was weirdly competent for this film. She wasn't a genius, but in Fallen Kingdom she might as well be. Everyone just makes the dumbest decisions possible and make the movie go forward. How does the main dinosaur escape? Someone went into the cage to remove its teeth because they thought it was asleep, and oh my god, it wasn't. So what a stunning narrative twist. Speaking of that dinosaur, it's the Indoraptor, and it's kind of like the Indominus Rex, but it's a raptor now. And compared to Indominus, which is genuinely scary, it is the lamest thing I've I've ever seen. There are multiple instances where it's in the same room as multiple of our main characters, and it doesn't even get close to killing any of them. Doesn't even lay a talon on one. And apparently volcanic eruptions are the only things that can be easily outrun in this world. 10-year-old girls can outpace a super raptor that's supposed to be faster, stronger, and smarter than any other raptor we've seen. How fun. Oh, and the way the Indoraptor dies is the only time I laughed across the entire runtime. It falls through a glass roof and lands on two conveniently placed horns which kill it. And then there's this dramatic zoom up with this sweeping music, like this is an awesome moment when I'm sorry, but who thought this would be in any way a satisfying way to kill off the main antagonist? But what I think is the biggest issue with the film is that half of it is so boring. It's Jurassic Park. I didn't think being boring was allowed. Even with how bad the previous 3 films have been, I can't really say they were boring. And with Fallen Kingdom, sure, the first half is at least engaging. It's some of the dumbest action movie slop I've seen, and I was praying for it to end, but it's not boring. And then they get off the island, the Fallen Kingdom, if you will, and then I realized how selfish I was, and I wanted so bad to get back on that island. Half of the movie is confined entirely in this mansion, and I do not care. I don't care about this billionaire, I don't care about his granddaughter, I don't care about her nanny, I don't care about these stupid villains. I was just praying that someone would shoot me already. They try to have this twist with the billionaire's granddaughter, and it's like, oh my god, his daughter died and he never had a granddaughter, and the granddaughter is a clone of his daughter, and I'm sorry, but what the fuck is going on? Yeah, sure, I guess if they can clone dinosaurs, then cloning humans should be a piece of cake, but it's just so stupid, and it's treated like this massive twist when it's never even hinted at. This whole plot point just came out of nowhere, and it's not like it's very interesting to begin with, and you could rip this twist out of the film and nothing would change. It's not like the granddaughter does anything after this that makes the twist worthwhile. Actually, maybe this is the reason why she could outrun the Indoraptor. She was genetically modified to run fast. I'm grasping at straws here, man. And of course, the sequel has to continue the stupid as hell dinosaurs in the military plot point, which I still to this day do not understand the point of. Is it trying to show how scummy the US military is? I mean, yeah, I agree they suck, but I don't really know what this commentary is presenting. Though I guess it isn't as far-fetched as the US military trying to create psychic-powered soldiers because they saw a video of a Russian doing basic parlor tricks, spending over $280 billion of taxpayer money trying to find out if people could really be psychics, which is a real thing that happened. Look it up. That was a tangent. I didn't expect to bring up the Stargate project in a video about Jurassic Park, but whatever. Just some final thoughts here, because I could truly talk about this film forever if I wanted. There are so many small issues that are just completely overpowered by the actually important ones, like the opening showing the whale dinosaur from Jurassic World 1 escaping into civilization, which sounds like a pretty big deal to me, but whatever, the film doesn't bring it up again. Speaking of that, our main characters decide that it would be a great idea to let the 30 dinosaurs out of their cage and just let them roam the world. Nothing wrong could possibly happen. They justify it because the cages had a lot of toxic gas, and if they weren't let out, they'd die, and they're living creatures, they deserve to live. But I'm pretty sure the people who are now going to be eaten are living creatures too, and it's not like they're going to go extinct. There's still DNA that we could use to revive them once again. I don't understand what the hell they were thinking. Why does a living, breathing dinosaur sell for only $10 million at an auction? And why does a genetically modified raptor sell for only $28 million? MySpace, a dead social media website that is still dead to this day, sold for $87 million back in 2016. I'm pretty sure a dinosaur would be more valuable than MySpace in 2016, but whatever. ever. I really hate Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. It genuinely might be one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And the fact that it made over $1.3 billion at the box office makes me very sad. 2 out of 10. You know, the Jurassic World series continually existing far past its prime is a great metaphor for the dinosaurs being revived. Great work, honestly. Because I have absolutely nothing better to do, I decided to watch the 2 short films released to hype up Jurassic World Dominion's release. The first being Battle at Big Rock, and yeah, it sure is a battle at a big rock. I mean, I felt more endeared to the main characters in this than the main characters in Jurassic World 1 and Fallen Kingdom. That's not a very high bar, but they crossed it. The family is decently well characterized, and I wanted them to survive, though I do honestly wish someone died in this short just so the stakes could be a little higher. The lighting is awful in this. It is way too dark, and the idea of the short is pretty boring, and yeah, that's all I have to say. 5 out of 10. Next is Jurassic World Dominion, the Prologue. Apparently this was supposed to be in the opening to the actual film, but they cut it and released it on its own. For some reason, an unrelated opening is a Jurassic Park series tradition, and they decided to break the tradition for the franchise's quote-unquote finale. And it's especially strange because it's only 5 minutes long. Movies love stretching their runtime. I don't understand why this was cut. Anyway, the actual short. It's fine. I did quite like the first part where we see the dinosaurs living during their actual time period and it's all dialogueless and well done. And then we go to modern times and I just zone out. It's really bad and boring action. Again, 5 out of 10. Overall, both of these were better than the last 4 feature-length films I've talked about. Jurassic World Dominion, the epic conclusion of the Jurassic saga. Yeah, sure. I've heard a lot of people say that this is the Rise of Skywalker, the franchise, a film that's supposed to be this grand finale, but ends up being the worst in the series. And like, kinda. I mean, like Rise of Skywalker, this does not feel like a finale in really any way. It introduces new plot points and doesn't bother concluding them, and the ending of Dominion feels like a massive slap to the face. Instead of actually tying up its storyline, there's just an ending "Where are they now" section that goes like, oh yeah, all those issues are actually solved, please don't worry about them. We're definitely a satisfying conclusion to a long-running franchise. But instead of Dominion feeling like a Rise of Skywalker, it honestly has more in common with Force Awakens. It just brings elements from the original film back as mindless fan service, as well as bringing back the actors from the original, but oh my god, they're all old now. I'd honestly say that Alan, Ellie, and Jeff Goldblum are my favorite parts of the film. Like, Alan's interactions with Chris Pratt are kinda cute because they're both massive Raptor fans, and I mean, I think Jeff Goldblum is kind of phoning in his performance. He seems pretty bored, but even a bad Jeff Goldblum role is one of the best in the film. I think my main issue though is that Alan, Ellie, and Jeff Goldblum do not meet the other characters until about 2 hours into the film's runtime. What's the point of even having these fun crossover-like scenes if they barely exist? Chris Pratt and Ellie probably have the least amount of chemistry they've ever had, and it feels like they're sidetracked pretty hard in this film. Like, even in Fallen Kingdom, where they barely felt like characters, they at least mattered. But I guess that's an issue with juggling like 7 main characters. Kayla is kind of fun, but the film really forgets she exists, and she feels kind of tacked onto the main cast, and it's weird because all the other 6 main characters are legacy characters. They're from previous movies, but Kayla is introduced here, so it just kinda feels weird. And Maisie still exists, and she sure is a character. She's the granddaughter from Fallen Kingdom. The whole cloning thing is still weird and still barely explored, so I still don't understand the point of it. The villain is so lame. He's never threatening, he never does anything interesting. He's just this bland piece of white bread to throw the film's problems at, and for some reason Dominion like, references Wayne Knight's character in Jurassic Park 1. He has a, like, spray can with the hollow bottom that Wayne Knight used to steal the DNA with, and in his death scene, he drops the spray can and then dies from the same dinosaur Wayne Knight died into in the exact same way. I don't really get what they were going for with this outside of it's a reference to Jurassic Park 1, but whatever, I guess. This movie's plot is really stupid. So, like, dinosaurs are just in civilization now, like at the end of Fallen Kingdom, and somehow only 31 people have died from them, which I thought was a comically low number, but then I saw how dumb the dinosaurs in the film are, and no, yeah, that makes sense. Forget outrunning T-Rexes, how about outrunning raptors in a broad, open roof environment? How about our main group of 7 people all surviving against a Gigantosaurus? I'm glad the stakes are as low as they've ever been in these sequels. Oh, and the dinosaurs aren't even the main threat. The main danger are these hordes of locusts that are like from dinosaur time. And I'm like, what is going on? This is the dinosaur franchise. Why is the main threat a swarm of massive bugs straight out of a biblical story? And it's not like they're dealt with in an interesting way, they just say in the Where Are You Now section that they found a way to deal with them, and now they're actually healthy locusts that help grow crops, and I'm like, huh? The dinosaurs feel like they barely matter in this movie. There are multiple times where we go like 10 minutes or even 20 without seeing a single dinosaur, and it's ridiculous. They just seem to show up whenever the plot decides it's time for another action scene with the dinosaurs, not for any actual plot reasons. The biggest issue with Dominion is just how boring it is. It's like you've stretched the second half of Fallen Kingdom across an entire movie, and the film is the longest in the franchise, being nearly 2.5 hours, and I just don't get why it needed to be so long. There is so much padding, so much unnecessary dialogue, the pacing is so bad, and even by the end of the movie, I honestly still don't even get what the point of any of it was. The film ends with this triple dinosaur battle, and it's alright, it's one of the better action scenes in the film, but then the characters leave, and I don't know what the point of this adventure was. I mean, all the problems are just solved off screen anyway, and none of our characters even die, which is ridiculous. At least 2 or 3 should have kicked the bucket. Honestly, kill off Alan and Ellie, have them do this big sacrifice to let the others escape and let them kiss in their final moments. That would have been very impactful and actually memorable, but no, we gotta keep them alive just in case we can rope them into a future installment. Say what you will about the Star Wars sequels, but they had the guts to kill off a lot of the legacy characters. Except Rise of Skywalker, which had so many fake deaths it could have used them to write a novel, but Rise of Skywalker is a fever dream all of us collectively imagined anyway. I cannot believe anyone looked at that film and thought it was good. Sorry for another tangent, these movies bring me to dark places sometimes. I mean, there's some other stuff I liked, there's some neat additions to the world, like this illegal dinosaur fighting league, and that's about it, actually. I don't know why you brought that up. Oh, this villain lady was actually amazing. She slays in every scene she's in, and I say that with zero irony. She's running circles around the main villain in terms of quality. And yeah, that's Jurassic World Dominion. I didn't hate it, honestly. So far, it's my 3rd favorite film in the series, which makes me incredibly depressed. But maybe it's because I had no expectation, or because I watched the film in a call with 2 of my friends, so I obviously would have had a better time than something like Fallen Kingdom, but I don't know, it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. 3 out of 10. Way better than I expected. Like I said, I'm going to be pretty vague in my Jurassic World Rebirth review, but there will be minor spoilers here and there, so you have been warned for a second time. So, I watched Jurassic World Rebirth in theaters, and it was fine. Honestly, I didn't hate it. I think the people who made it really tried, and I can appreciate that. The premise is really solid, actually. Basically, our main characters need to extract some dinosaur DNA, because it'll be used in a medicine to help cure heart disease. For kind of an unspecified reason, but if you just accept that they need dinosaur DNA for hearts to keep working, then the film is a whole lot more enjoyable. But this premise is good because it actually gives a reason for our characters to go out of their way to interact with the dinosaurs instead of just hiding in a cave until rescue appears. It also puts an interesting twist on the characters are stuck on an island with dinosaurs idea, because now they have an actual goal outside of just escaping. The film is really well directed by Gareth Edwards, the director most known for Rogue One and 2023's The Creator. I haven't seen the latter, but Rogue One is also an exceptionally directed film, and it's clear that he also really put his talent into this one, because we finally have tension again. It's nothing mind-blowing, but the dinosaurs feel very much like a threat in the film, and I have to appreciate that. There's also a bunch of really gorgeous shots. There's this one where a character is underwater and there's a massive Mosasaurus down there, and it's so good. As someone who is really scared of giant monsters lurking beneath massive bodies of water, this really worked for me. There's great action set pieces, the raft escape scene was exciting. It's a very competently made film, and outside of a few iffy looking green screens, the CGI was very well done. It sucks that the problem with this film is the script. It's not bad or anything, it's just very mediocre. The characters are all fine, they do actually try to give them emotional moments and arc, but it mostly falls completely flat for me. Scarlett Johansson is the main character, and before I say this, I don't hate Scarlett Johansson. She can be a great actress when she needs to be. I really liked her in The Prestige, Jojo Rabbit, Asteroid City, Transformers 1, so this isn't supposed to be a hate campaign for her, but I don't know if it's the direction or just of lack of effort, but she's very in this movie, especially in the first hour or so. There are just so many line readings where I'm like, what was she going for here? She does a lot of long pauses in the middle of sentences. It was very distracting. Eventually those issues went away, but was that because the performance improved, or because the film started focusing on more action set pieces instead of the characters? It's hard to say for me. But the rest of the cast was fine. I actually really liked Jonathan Bailey. He did a pretty good job, and I think my favorite performance was actually Mahershala Ali. But none of the others really jumped out to me. Same with the characters. They were all likable enough, and I cared enough about them to be sad when they died, but nothing other than that. The villain was pretty good, actually. Probably one of my favorites in the series. It's not entirely clear who the villain is going to be at first, but they're not really a twist villain either. It's weird, but you know what I'm talking about if you've seen the film. And because they become a villain, an aspect of his character I was initially scared the film was going to glorify became a neat bit of commentary. Again, you know if you know, but let's say a dinosaur turns into Luigi for a second. There's also this family that tags along on the adventure for, like, no reason. I didn't care about any of them, and I just wanted them to become dinosaur bait. The little girl of the family finds this small dinosaur that she carried around for the rest of the film, which was so obviously done just to have a marketable character to make plushies out of. And yeah, that's kind of it for my thoughts. It wasn't a bad movie, it's actually my second favorite in the entire series. That's not saying a lot, but still. One last thing I did want to bring up was the very odd product placement in the film. This isn't really a spoiler, it happens in the first 5 minutes during the intro, but a dinosaur gets loose in a genetic testing facility, and the reason it gets loose is because a Snickers wrapper gets caught in a piece of machinery. The person who ate the Snickers bar is the one who died, by the way. I just think it's really funny that the way they advertised something was, if you eat this, everything will go wrong and you will die. But yeah, that's Jurassic World Rebirth. I appreciate that they actually tried to do something new with the franchise after Jurassic World Dominion was literally just fan service. This was kind of refreshing, but I'm just not really feeling this movie. It wasn't bad. I kinda liked it to some degree, but I really wouldn't recommend it. But who knows, you might love it. A high 5 out of 10. I was considering giving it a 6, but the film is just too generic for me to give it too much praise. But hey, I'll take generic action over whatever the hell Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom was going for. And for what it is, it's way less generic than Jurassic World. Can't wait for this movie to make over $1 billion. Woohoo! Well, that was the video, alright. I didn't hate going on this marathon. I mean, I got to watch the amazing first Jurassic Park film, and as bad as most of these movies are, they can be pretty fun to talk about. My ranking of the series would be from worst to best: Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, The Lost World Jurassic Park, Jurassic Park III, Jurassic World Dominion, Jurassic World, Jurassic World Rebirth, and finally, Jurassic Park. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this far. Please subscribe if you enjoyed. This was a lot of work for me, and since I'm still under 500 subscribers, these are literally just labors of love. This is the first video like this I've ever done, but I would like to do more because this was a lot of fun. There are a lot of incredibly famous franchises I've never seen a single entry of, like Die Hard, Planet of the Apes, Halloween, and especially Alien. I've had my eye on those movies for a while. I'd love to make a video going over those series too, and if you'd like to see that too, let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But yeah, again, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video, which would be hopefully releasing next Thursday. Bye!